How does a family become homeless? Well, it often goes like this. Your landlord lets you know that your rent will increase in 2 months. You lose your job through no fault of your own because the company needs to make cuts. Your kid gets hurt playing at recess, and the massive medical bill you receive a few weeks later is way bigger than you can afford. That's all it takes when you're living paycheck to paycheck, which is an unfortunate reality for as many as a quarter of all households in America. The line between stably housed and homeless is more narrow than ever. But why? With how long we've been trying to end homelessness, we'd hope to see it on the decline, but instead it's growing to an all-time high, family homelessness in particular. So, what are we doing wrong in our response to it? Like homelessness itself, the answer to this is complex, but there's one specific contributing factor that I can think of: data. It's an important part of stopping homelessness. Data helps us identify the factors that create homelessness in the first place, which in turn informs how we create programs to prevent it and help people rebuild after it. But data is also a two-way street. The homeless services industry is made up of various organizations, local governments, and independent funders that all prioritize reporting specific data points. And even more often than not, these select few points don't tell the whole story. We need to evolve our understanding of data on homelessness. Otherwise, we risk wasting resources by running programs that may help people, but mainly treat the symptoms of homelessness rather than the causes. Luckily, there's an easy way to start. I'm Quinn Griffith, and this is Until They're Housed, a series from Family Promise of Spokane, a nonprofit organization in Spokane, Washington, that is ending the cycle of homelessness by helping families get and keep housing. Our goal here on this show is to examine what it actually takes to move families from surviving to thriving, and show how communities and community members like you are key to this change. Are we tracking the right data to end homelessness? To answer that question, it's best that we identify what kinds of data are being tracked right now. Many organizations track statistics like bed nights, which is how many nights someone stays in shelter, meals served, and open shelter beds. And these are useful numbers for judging the capacity and cost effectiveness of a shelter. But tracking this data doesn't necessarily translate to whether we are reducing homelessness. Let's look at one specific example. The big boss of homelessness data is the point-in-time count, also called the PIT count. Each year, communities across the country send out volunteers, often on a cold day in January, to count how many people are visibly experiencing homelessness. These recorded numbers then collectively form a sort of rough estimate of homelessness, both in specific communities as well as across the entire nation. This metric of measuring homelessness is widely accepted. And it makes sense, right? If we can measure the need, we can fund the response. Some of you might have already caught the issue, though. The PIT count only measures the people who are most visibly homeless at that specific moment in time, not the people who are doubled up, unstably living in shared housing, or long-term in motels, or those hidden away from the cold. It simply doesn't capture the hidden homeless. It's giving us an incomplete picture. Like most of the data, it's useful to know. The issue arises when we base our entire response on homelessness on this single number. We risk building our understanding and our solutions on incomplete information. And as a result, homeless services create solutions that do help people, sure, but not to their fullest potential. They go after the symptoms of homelessness, but not the larger systematic conditions that create homelessness. And because of this incomplete data, we end up missing something very important. When you work with families experiencing housing instability, like we do at Family Promise of Spokane, patterns start to emerge. Not necessarily patterns about who the people are, but patterns about the barriers they face. These patterns reveal trends at the national and regional level, and those trends show us holes in the safety net that we all rely on. By observing and connecting these trends, we can predict other trends too. For example, if we observe that the housing supply is reduced in a particular area, we can assume that rent will increase soon. This tells us that families will have less disposable income to spare, meaning unexpected costs like medical bills or car repairs will be more impactful. So sure, a reduced housing supply results in higher rent costs, yet it's not just that people are being priced out of housing. Even those who can afford to pay rent become a higher risk for homelessness because their financial margins get even slimmer. With these trends in mind, we can actually change the programming we provide to accommodate families. Helping stabilize families is a big part of what we provide at Family Promise. Making sure people have housing is a big deal, but we learned that making sure families can keep that housing is vital. Through our Keep Housing program, we provide families with funds and support, like ongoing life skill training, mentorship, and personalized case management. We want to help equip the family towards long-term self-sufficiency. Working this way stops homelessness before it starts. And we know where this prevention is needed because we studied those trends. Pretty cool, right? Another example we've run into is one you probably wouldn't have guessed at first. Do you know what one of the strongest correlations is with family homelessness? It's pets. Based on our data, families with pets were significantly more likely to struggle to secure housing. Not because pets cause homelessness. Spot isn't going around pocketing your rent money. It's because housing options that allow pets have limitations. Pet deposits increase costs, often to the tune of somewhere between $200 to $500. Some places charge a monthly pet fee or pet rent, too. Vet costs can also create significant financial pressure. Pet food and medicine, another expense you have to add. Oh, and if you do hit hard times, many temporary housing options don't allow animals. That was the trend we saw in the data we found. It's important to note that the data wasn't judging families, and it wasn't saying that people need to get rid of their pets either. Really, all it did was show us yet another barrier that we were blind to, giving us the opportunity to anticipate it and help families overcome it. So, if these broader trends and data were so useful, why isn't every homeless service organization using them? Well, it's complicated. Organizations like Family Promise of Spokane have the unique advantage of flexibility. If we find a new approach that offers better trauma-informed care, less time in shelter, or an innovative way of breaking down barriers, we can shift to that. But other organizations and local governments are so intertwined in what everyone else is doing, even if they'd like to change, they may have a difficult time doing so. There's a lack of funding and resources to justify this kind of shift too. The people who are passionate about broadening this data focus already work in this industry, and they alone don't have the bandwidth to change an entire system. When your funding depends on reporting of a specific set of statistics and you're already working at capacity to keep the lights on, stopping to change everything just isn't an option. If this change is going to happen, it's going to come from a bigger shift in the social service industry, propelled by changes in government policy and vocal support from communities. Like any big structural change, no one can do it alone. We have to make it happen as a community and make our voices heard when it comes to the data we accept as a standard for fighting homelessness. Even if you or I as individuals don't always have the data, there's something we do have. So data is great. It helps us identify trends and obstacles we otherwise might not consider. As service providers, it's an awesome tool, but there's a catch, and it's a big one. People are not numbers, and every family is different. Predictive analytics cannot tell us what one specific family will do. Data is useful, but it isn't everything. And often organizations, service providers, and local governments are guilty of not using it to its fullest potential. So the question is, how often are we as service providers, and even as a community, using the data the right way? Are we really using it to show us what we don't know, or are we using it to draw comfortably narrow conclusions about complex problems? And since we're already shaking things up, let's go even further and ask, are we even trusting the right data when we talk about homelessness? People often say numbers don't lie, but really the saying should be every number tells a lie. What do I mean by that? Well, not all data tells the full story. Some data reflects what is easiest to measure, not what matters most. Some data carries bias based on how it was collected, who was included, and who was left out. Data isn't neutral. It is subject to interpretation and limited as much by what isn't shown as what is. The pursuit of data isn't about seeing some holy grail that presents the perfect solution on a silver tray. There will never be a singular piece of data that solves homelessness. Rather than viewing data as the end-all be-all, it's better understood as a tool in your toolbox, with the understanding that it cannot and should not override human experiences of homelessness. If our goal is to help those who are struggling, we shouldn't let data stop us from listening to what they have to say, even if the two feel at odds with each other. The truth is, we far too often assume that data and experience contradict each other, when in reality, we just haven't identified the right angle that fits the two pieces together. Data can do a lot, but it can't do everything. Context, especially when given by that human experience, helps us understand the truth of data and serve people the best we can. This applies to your life too. As a member of the community, you can put this into practice by reflecting on the data you're taking in. Ask yourself, what biases do I hold about this data? Am I going into it expecting to find out a certain outcome? What assumptions about people or programs am I believing? It's a lot to think over, but don't let that hold you back. At the end of the day, as long as you keep an open mind and remain willing to learn, you're on the right track. Before I sign off, I wanted to thank you for watching to the end of the video. We've covered a lot of ground in this one, from examining how popular data like the pit count or bed nights fail to capture the whole picture of homelessness, to using unconventional data to uncover trends that can help us anticipate needs, and even digging into why data itself is just a tool, not the entire truth. So the next time you hear about some fresh new data in the news, ask yourself, how can I get the full picture? That's all for this one, friends. Until next time, remember, stability isn't an idea, it's an address.